Are you feeling stuck in a rut and wanting to make changes in your life? Well, you are in the right place, my friend, as this video kicks off our 4-week routine refresh series here on YouTube. We'll be exploring the power of new habits as well as refreshing current habits in order to transform your life. Tune in each week where we'll be diving into different strategies as well as mindset shifts that you'll need in order to make the changes to transform your life. Welcome to the Euphony Within channel. My name is Dara and I am a certified wellness practitioner. On this channel, we like to discuss ways to achieve the mindset that allows us to reach the ultimate level of happiness. How? Through happier, healthier living, of course. If that sounds like you, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more uplifting content around personal development and all things around creating life balance. To start the series, we're going to look at the power of 12 weeks. Can 12 weeks of a new habit really transform your life? We're going to answer that question today. So you might be saying, why are we looking at 12 weeks now? Well, we're actually starting the second quarter of the year, so it's a great time to check in with how the year is going. Also looking at maybe what we might need to adjust for the year moving ahead, or even just a great time to actually start what our intentions were for the year. So no matter where you're at, this series will help with refreshing our routine and really solidifying our current intentions. One of the reasons why 12 weeks is fresh on my mind is because of this one. 12-week year. My boyfriend and I listened to this over the holidays on audiobook while we were traveling for 17 hours. And it really hit home with some really great points. So I did some research to be like, why 12 weeks? Does it really matter? Well, scientific research shows that 12 weeks is the sweet spot for creating behavior change. Why? Well, it really talks about the neuroplasticity window. You might be like, what? Basically, it takes about 66 days for a new habit to become automatic. And the reason it takes 66 days is because we're really retraining our neural pathways whenever we are creating new change. We're telling our brain, hey, this is something new we're doing, so I want you to switch to that versus the old habit. So let's use the alarm, okay? Maybe you're used to hitting the snooze button. Well, it's going to take about 66 days of not hitting the snooze button in order for your brain to learn the new neural pathway that goes through your brain that says, nope, we're not hitting the snooze button, we're getting up now. So that would be an easier example. We talk about this a lot when we're talking in nicotine cessation as well as creating new behavior changes because our brain is a big part of what helps us or hinders us in a behavior change. So the 66 days really helps our new habit become automatic. It becomes a part of our brain. So that 12 weeks gives you long enough to rewire those neural pathways in your brain. And it also provides some buffer for setbacks that may happen, as well as recalibration or readjusting that we might need when we're going through the 12 weeks. Maybe you hit a wall of some kind and it's like, okay, we need to readjust. In order to create this successful change, we need to figure out a way to overcome the barrier. But again, the 66 days falls within that 12 weeks, and that can really help solidify our brain being on board versus really fighting against us. Our brains, again, are magnificent and wonderful and mysterious all at the same time, but creating those new pathways are really, really important part of the process. So that neuroplasticity window really falls into the 12 weeks. And then the other part is the psychological momentum that happens. Again, part of our brains, not necessarily the physical part, but the mental part of our brains really help with the momentum part of things. So 12 weeks is short enough to maintain our motivation. It's also long enough to see substantial results. A lot of us, the first 5 to 10 pounds, if you're trying to lose weight, can be the most challenging part. Or if you're starting your routine, it's almost like a struggle. Again, your brain and body are fighting against the new change. But once you break past that barrier, it really feels great to see some results. 12 weeks is short enough to maintain that motivation, but long enough to see the results that you're looking for. Also, it creates a tangible sense of progress. Nothing feels better than when you accomplish something or when you check something off of a list. It's like this internal moment. And that is really key to creating behavior change. So we answered the question, can 12 weeks really transform your life? Yes, it can. And the science backs it up, which is even more fun because whenever you have those days where, say it is again the snooze button, you'd be like, nope, science says if I do this for 66 days, it will change in my brain. And you just keep showing up. And then what happens? Suddenly something shifts in your brain. Well, physically, something's shifting in your brain because you're literally going from one side being super strong to this other side actually getting a workout and becoming stronger too. And it comes to play. It shows up on the neural pathways to where now your brain goes, wait, are we picking the snooze button or are we getting up? Oh, okay, we're getting up today. And then you have options, which is always great to have options. But that's where the neuroplasticity window, as well as the psychological momentum, really help when it comes to the 12 weeks. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it takes hearing something multiple times in order for it to sink in. So I will say it as many times as you need. But this is where the free 14-day routine refresh series comes into play. So maybe you have been thinking about wanting to make some changes. Sometimes we can feel really overwhelmed with how many things need to change or how many things need to happen in our lives that we would rather just crawl in a hole and bury ourselves. But we don't have to pick everything at once. That's the beauty of the 12 weeks. You can pick 1 to 2 things to work on, and that can really help solidify things. So, how do you know where to start? Well, if you divide your life up into sections, you can look at your health, you can look at your career, you can look at the relationships in your life, you can look at personal development. Are there things that you're not necessarily happy with? Okay, maybe you focus on those things. Maybe it's your financial wellness that you want to choose to focus on for 12 weeks. That is perfectly fine. In 12 weeks, you can really make a radical difference when it comes to your financial wellness. And then also looking at your spiritual or mental wellness. And when we talk about spiritual wellness, I can do a whole segment on spiritual wellness, but really we're talking about feeling connected to our values as well as connected to people who share those values. But mental wellness really does tie into this as well. So now that we've looking at these, is there a certain area that maybe stands out to you? I'd love to know in the comments. Let me know what area maybe it stands out to you as an area that you need focus on. For me right now, it's my health as well as my financial wellness that I'm choosing to focus on for the next 12 weeks. So again, I'd love to hear in the comments where you're at and what you would like to focus on. But this can really help narrow down that 1 to 2 goals. Okay, what are 1 to 2 areas on the screen that you feel like, hey, I can do something and focus on that for 12 weeks, and that should be relatively simple. It doesn't feel as overwhelming because you know you have another 12 weeks after that that you can start to focus on other things. And really starting off with the first 12 weeks will really help with building momentum towards the other things that you want to take care of in your life too. All right, so we've picked our 1 to 2 goals that we're looking at for the 12 weeks. Well, the one thing that you can look at is what is the overall arching at the end of the 12 weeks? What would you like to have seen accomplished? This would be called a breakthrough goal, so to speak, or something that you're really hoping to achieve by the end of the 12 weeks. Maybe it's setting up a budget and sticking to the budget for the 12 weeks. It might seem impossible right now, but that's where the second part of this, the supporting goals and the micro habits, really help us with reaching that overall attainable goal in 12 weeks. We don't have to accomplish that in one day. We have 12 weeks to accomplish it. So the supporting goals are really going to be what helps with this. So that's 2 or 3 smaller goals to help with reaching your overall main goal. So this can really help with creating momentum as well as building your confidence towards that goal at the end of the 12 weeks that we're working toward. Now, again, the micro habits is really where the sweet sauce is. It's really the sweetness part of it. And this is going to be our daily and weekly tiny actions that we do on a daily basis. Now, again, if we go back to the alarm clock situation, instead of hitting snooze and getting up, or maybe you hit snooze once versus 15 times. Those are micro habits that can really help with the day to day that help us with reaching our overall goal. Maybe we're wanting to be a 7 a.m. wake up person at the end of 12 weeks. Well, then you start with your micro goals and work up to getting that. Maybe you sleep until 10. Well, you can work on getting up at 9:30 and then 9 and then 8:30, then 8, then 7:30 and then 7 by the time you get to the end of the 12 weeks. Those are those supporting goals, but those micro habits really, really help with feeling like we've accomplished something. And the micro habits also help because they're so small, they almost seem impossible to fail at. And if you fail like one day, you can, problem solve and figure out how to get to the next day. And if you feel like that's overwhelming, I have also opened up my coaching schedule, which will be in the bottom. I'm happy to help support you. But again, the main thing is you can really do this, and it's having support and the belief in yourself to do that. So, micro habits, the daily and weekly tiny actions that really help with that overall supporting goal that you can accomplish in 12 weeks. And when it comes to the micro habits that we're doing, it can be really nice to do weekly tracking and accountability. So, weekly review sessions. One of the things that the 12-week year talks about is giving yourself a weekly grade. Did you score a passing grade? Did you score a failing grade? That really kind of gives you some information to look at to be like, okay, what did I need to score higher? Maybe it was, instead of pushing off something that you had on your calendar to reach your goal, you really treated it as like, okay, this is something that's happening. And that would have given you a higher percentage. Maybe it would have been saying no to something that really was keeping you away from what you're looking to do. Or maybe it was just recognizing, hey, I got an 80%. That was pretty good. And giving yourself a pat on the back for that. It's really important to celebrate the small wins, which again, we talk about in the 14-day routine refresh. That free email series is in the description. Again, great for starting out your 12-week goals there. But again, creating that weekly review gives you a chance to collect data and edit the things that you need to and really move forward for the next week so that again, you're reaching by the end of the 12 weeks your goal. Visual progress tracking. I've had so many clients and friends love seeing on a calendar the visual representation of what you're doing. Maybe it's putting a dot on the calendar every time you go for your walk, or maybe it's putting a star when you don't hit the snooze button and you get up. When you start to see the visual progress of that on a calendar of some kind, it really makes you see, hey, I'm doing better than I thought. So again, visual progress tracking is great, or having a coach to help support you along the way, another great thing. Being flexible for adjustments is all part of that weekly check-in and those micro habits. So tracking and accountability can really be a great way as you're going through to problem solve, as well as to celebrate the victories that you are doing along the way, which only helps build confidence and build your momentum towards that end of the 12-week goal. So I hope you have found these tips helpful. Again, I've created a 14-day routine refresh to help you kickstart this transformation. It's designed to give you the foundational skills you need for what we've discussed today. Again, it's euphanywithin.com, 14-day routine refresh. Link is in the description. There's no cost, there's zero obligation, just pure actual content to help you jumpstart your 12-week journey. All right, so hopefully you have found that yes, 12 weeks can really transform your life and really create the changes that we're looking for. Join us next week as we talk about our evening routines being the secret weapon. You won't want to miss it. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you've liked it, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you have not already. And remember, you're not alone. And while the sun may not be out today or even tomorrow, it will come out again. I'll see you guys next Thursday.